welcome to a new video and vlog of the Cruise Vibes, and today it's day 5 on board of MSC Preziosa, and today we are in Le Havre in France, and here on the map you can see our route today, but as yesterday we are spending most of the time in port. And in this video I want to give you a few ideas of what you can do in Le Havre, and I also want to recommend one excursion for you. And we start with the breakfast in the buffet restaurant, and the weather was not very nice. It was raining, but there was a nice rainbow, so there was still some hope for good weather. And then we went to the theater, which was the meeting point for the excursion, and once our excursion was called, we left the ship and went through the cruise terminal to the coaches, and the whole process was very easy and convenient. And soon after we set off and headed to our destination today, that was Étretat. To get to Étretat we had to cross Le Havre. I have been in Le Havre 10 years ago, so I knew that it is not my favorite city. It has the same history like Rotterdam. It was destroyed in the Second World War and has been rebuilt new, but unlike in Rotterdam, where you have many different styles of architecture, here it has all been built the same way, with the buildings completely made out of concrete, and because of that it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But to be honest, I cannot really see the beauty in it. For me it just looks like slab constructions, so I'm not the biggest fan of the cities. So that's why I recommend you to do an excursion from Le Havre. But I will also show you what you can do in the city if you're spending the full day in Le Havre, and after the excursion you still have some time. I will also show you what you can do in the city itself. Most of the time you will be there the full day, because the stop in Le Havre is mostly there for a full day excursion to Paris, which I do not recommend to you because you will spend 4 hours in the coach each way. So I recommend you an excursion to Étretat, which is a small village very close to Le Havre. It's just about 45 minutes by coach. And here we are in Étretat, and firstly I will show you the market hall, which nowadays is only selling souvenirs but no more food. But it's interesting because of its roof. And according to our tour guide, the roof looks like that because there were no proper carpenters in this city who knew how to build such a big building. The locals only knew how to build ships, and so they built the roof of this building like an upside down hull of a ship. And now I'm gonna show you why I recommend visiting Étretat. It's not because of the village, it's because of the nature. And here you can see why. Étretat is located at the Côte d'Albâtre, the Alabaster Coast. And there are 3 natural arches in the chalk cliffs. On each side of the village is one of them. Our excursion was actually just a transfer, not a guided tour. Even though there was a guide with us in the bus, but I didn't know about that. It was supposed to be just a transfer by coach, and we were exploring Étretat on our own. That's also what I would recommend to you, because you're here for the nature and there is not too much to see in the village itself. And that's why exploring on your own is better, because it will give you enough time to visit all the natural sites of Étretat. And we start by going to the northernmost part of the beach, and there you have this unspectacular looking stairs, but these stairs are leading to the Porte d'Amont, which is one of the 2 big arches in the city. That's the northern arch, and here you can already see the amazing view from the top. That's why I recommend to you to go to the Porte d'Amont first, or if you're not having the time to visit both, then I would rather recommend going up to the Porte d'Amont, because from there you can see the Porte d'Aval on the other side, which is looking a bit more spectacular. And of course if you're on it you cannot see it. So I recommend going first to the less spectacular arch. And also there on the top are a few more sites. There are the gardens of Étretat, but there you need to pay to enter them. So if you're not having too much time, there is enough nature for free. And on top there's also a memorial for the plane, the White Bird, or in French, l'oiseau blanc, that was seen here for the very last time. And one thing that's quite impressive about this place is that there are almost no barriers or fences. You can go directly to the cliffs, but of course you need to be smart and careful, as these cliffs can be up to 84 meters high. So be careful, especially because there are very strong winds. So whenever I was going close to the cliffs, I was kneeling or crouching to have a low balance point to make sure that the wind will not blow me off these cliffs. Just like you can see it here on both sides of this path, it is going down very deep, so you need to be very careful when you're there, but you can get some amazing pictures. But of course we also all know these stories about people who wanted to take a selfie and went one step too far, so please be careful if you're in Étretat, as this can be rather dangerous, especially if the wind is strong. Another speciality about Étretat is the beach itself. If you look closer, you can see that it is not a sand beach, it is a pebblestone beach. And of course, due to the water, these pebblestones are all very round, and the noise they are making when the waves hit the beach is amazing. Unfortunately, it was so windy that I could not record this sound, but if you're there, listen to the sound. It's amazing, very unique sound that you will hear on not too many other beaches in the world. And now it was time for us to go to the Porte d'Avant, the other arch, which is looking more spectacular. And maybe you have the feeling that this village is looking familiar to you, but you don't know why. And that is very possible because Étretat was a main location of the Netflix series Lupin. The last episode of the first season was filmed here in Étretat, which is because the creator of the character Lupin, on which this series is based, he's called Maurice Leblanc, and he lived here in Étretat, and also many of these novels about Lupin are taking place here in Étretat. What's also quite interesting about the Porte d'Aval that we are on now is this area where you can actually go inside of the cliff and see how the chalk is looking from close. And another thing why it's also worth going up on the Porte d'Aval is that you can see another arch, the Manneporte, which is a bit further away from the city, but you can still see it from here very nicely, but you cannot see it from Étretat itself. And if you are having more time, you can even walk to the Manneporte, which we did because, as I said, we had an unguided tour, so we just had free time in Étretat, so there was enough time to also go to the third famous arch of Étretat, the Manneporte. And from there you have another great view of the Porte d'Aval. And also, if you're looking to the other side, you can see more of the Côte d'Albâtre. And you can look till the Cap d'Antifer. There is a big harbor for oil ships. It belongs to the port of Le Havre, but it's a few kilometers away from it. And then it was time to head back to the village of Étretat, as the departure time of our coach was getting closer. And there's one more thing that's very important to know about Étretat, and that is that it's strictly forbidden to take the pebble stones with you. You may not take one as a souvenir because they're important to keep the nature, to keep these cliffs alive. So please do not take any of those pebble stones with you, even though they would be a nice souvenir. And then we took our coach back to Le Havre. The coach was going directly to the ship, and it was now about lunchtime. And as I said, most ships will dock in Le Havre the whole day to make sure that the guests can make this excursion to Paris, which, as I said, I would not recommend because you will spend more time, way more time in the coach than in the city. And there are a few more other options on what to do in Le Havre. For example, the excursion to Étretat, but also you can make an excursion to Rouen or Honfleur, which are both very nice cities. Or if you like to spend a lot of time in the coach, if that's no problem for you, you can also make an excursion to Mont Saint-Michel, which is also about 4 hours drive. But we preferred an excursion with just 45 minutes coach drive, and that meant that we have now the full afternoon for ourselves. And so we decided to give Le Havre another chance, even though I'm not a big fan of the city. But now I know that it is a city made out of concrete and I wanted to give it another chance. And so we walked to the city center. You can also take the shuttle bus, of course, but if you walk, it will be a walk of about 20 to 30 minutes. But before heading to the city center, we visited another cruise ship, the Bizet, which is a river cruise ship that was docked here in Le Havre as well. We don't know if it was in service or it was used as a hotel ship or refugee ship. It looked kind of closed, but it still had the flag of the owner, Grand Circle. But Le Havre is also a cruise port for river cruise ships because it is located at the river mouth of the Seine, and that means that the ships from Paris can also go to Le Havre. Not too many will do this because most of them will go to the other side of the river to Honfleur, which is a bit more beautiful, but some ships will also visit Le Havre. And my first tip on what to do in Le Havre on your own is this funicular railway that will take you up a hill. From the mountain station you have to turn left, and after a few hundred meters you will have this amazing viewing point with a perfect view over Le Havre. And once you're up the hill, you can just go like about 15 to 20 minutes further, and then you will reach another interesting part, which is Le Jardin Suspendu, which translates to the Hanging Gardens. And these hanging gardens are located in a former fort, and this is a botanical garden. As the website was only in French, and even though I learned French in school, but I was never good, so I translated the website wrongly, and I thought that it's open, but unfortunately the greenhouses were closed with the tropical plants, and that was actually the reason why I wanted to go there. So firstly I was a bit disappointed, but then we quite enjoyed walking around the fort itself, which was open and free, and it was also quite nice with palm trees and a few other plants. And then we discovered that you can actually go up the walls of the fort, and on top of it are many more gardens. There is a big outdoor botanical garden with different themed gardens, and the themings are different continents. There is an African garden, an Australian garden, an American garden, and so on. And all of these gardens are looking very, very nicely, as you can see it here. And remember, we have been there in November, so you can imagine how nice this place must be in spring or in summer. So we spent there quite some time, and at the end we came to another very, very nice viewing point, which is actually, in my opinion, the best viewing point of Le Havre. It is even called the best viewing point on Google Maps. And there you have this amazing view over the whole city of Le Havre. But it's quite far away from the ship. You can see our ship in the background, so you can guess how far it is. And we walked all this distance, and this will take you more than 1 hour. But of course you can also take a taxi if you don't want to walk it, because we walked the whole day together with our hike in Étretat, more than 23 kilometers. But of course you can also reach this place by taxi, or if you take the shuttle bus, and then it will be just a walk of about 10 minutes to the funicular railway, and from there another 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're also at the Hanging Gardens. On our way back we met this lovely cat that was very happy for our attention and cuddles, and then we went back to the city center, and I wanted to make another train video because Le Havre has a rather new tram system, and I wanted to show it to you, to make an extra video about it. But unfortunately it didn't work. We tried to buy a ticket on the ticket machines, on 3 different ticket machines with 4 different credit cards and bank cards, but none of them worked, even though according to the explanations that have been given in English, but none of our cards worked. So we gave up and visited the church instead, not out of religious reasons but for the architecture, and that's also a recommendation. If you're in Le Havre, visit this church. The architecture is insane and it looks very, very impressive from inside. And on our way back to the ship, we saw that it is the time of the bird migration, and there are millions of birds, and they were all sitting and flying around this crane. That was a very impressive sight. You can see how many birds there are. That was really, really impressive. So to conclude, in the end, there are quite a few nice places in Le Havre. You just need to know where they are and you need to find them. Of course, if you are very interested in architecture, you can also enjoy the city and this architectural style itself. But for me, it was just not my style, and I'm still not the biggest fan of the city center. But there are quite a few nice places. I really enjoyed visiting the Hanging Gardens. The funicular was also quite spectacular, very steep, and the view from the hill was also amazing. Next time when I'll be in Le Havre, I will also finally make the video about the tram, because you can also buy the ticket with coins. We just did not have enough coins and we were too tired to find a store and change money or something, so we gave up and went back to the ship. But next time I will be prepared and I will do the video about the tram. But for today it was time to go back to the ship after more than 23 kilometers. The feet were hurting and we were hungry, so we went back to our home, the MSC Preziosa. And one more time, you do not have to walk all this way. There is a transfer available. We just wanted to save the money and do something for our health, so we walked. And in the evening I wanted to be experimental again with the food, so this time I tried frog legs, and very surprisingly they were very nice as well. It was like a mixture of chicken and fish, and if you have the chance, try it. It's way better than you would think it is. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful for you, and if you liked it, please consider to comment, subscribe, like or share the video link, and I hope to see you in the next video.